Hello, my name is Shivani and this is the Curly Bookworm. In case you haven't been here yet, we talk about art and books, both on this channel. And today we're going to be talking about books. As I was planning this video out, I was thinking about what happened to book tags, because I was actually going through some of my older videos while I was planning out videos for the coming weeks, and I was like, where did the book tags go? And as I was thinking this, it's like the internet can even read my mind now. I was served a video by Jack Edwards, who is, if you don't know him already, the resident librarian of YouTube, or so I've heard. So Jack Edwards comes on to this video of his and he talks about how book tags have just disappeared. And I agree, Jack, I do. And so I'm gonna actually tag myself on the video that he made, which is the 5 4 3 2 1 book tag, and we will get to know me and my reading tastes better in this video. Let's go. So let's look at the very first question. This is 5 books that you love. I mean, I don't know who designed this book tag, but that is a near impossible question. In case you haven't realized, you can't ask a book person what his or her or their favorite book is. What? And now you ask me to pick only 5. I mean, I do yearly videos where I talk about my favorites of that year, and I can't keep the list down to 10. I don't even know how I'm gonna tell you 5 all-time favorites. That's not possible. So take this with a pinch of salt. I'm gonna stick to the 5, but you have to take this with a pinch of salt. What you don't have to take with the pinch of salt is 2 of my all-time favorites. That is for sure is this one. This is The Little Prince. This is a lovely little edition that I got in Paris at the Shakespeare & Co. bookstore. This book is also super famous and it is also French. Well, originally French. I have read it in French when I was studying French back when, but I've also read it in English and I just love this story. It just does not get old. It's for kids, but it's also for adults, but especially for adults, because it's one of those things that make you realize that life is more than what you can see right in front of your nose. And yeah, this book is a classic for a very, very good reason. This is about a little boy who seems to have come from outside of this planet. He meets a pilot, I think, and he basically is trying to ask him about Earth, and he's trying to have him help him send him back to where he came from, because he has this little rose that he protects. And while he's doing that, he kind of tells this pilot a whole bunch of stories. It's a very, very short book, so I don't want to tell you much more, but it is such a poignant book and I love it. And if you haven't read it yet, seriously, please go read it. Another favorite that I have, which is the second book on my list, is Anne of Green Gables. This is another really, really beautiful edition that I have. I have many. This one, which is also a very pretty edition. And these are just 2 because I don't want to disrupt my entire bookcase, but they're like somewhere over there. And if you've seen my book tour video, you know that I have a whole bunch. I will put that link below so you can take a look at all of the ones that I have, or at least witness the fact that I have more than one. But anyway, so Anne of Green Gables is a classic again. It is a children's classic, but again, it's very much readable by adults. I actually read it as an adult. It's about a girl who is an orphan. She's adopted by this elderly sister and brother who own a farm, the Green Gables. And Anne actually ends up there by accident. She's not meant to go there. They actually asked for a boy, to adopt a boy, so that he could help them take care of the home and the farm and all of that. But they send a girl instead, and they fall so crazily in love with Anne, although they really just wanted a boy so that the boy could help out and he was strong enough and all of that with farm tasks. But then Anne goes there instead, and she has this lovely red hair and quirky personality, and she's fierce and she's passionate and she's she's crazy. You may have seen the Netflix version of this book, I don't know, but I like that character, but I feel like the character in my head when I read Anne is even cooler. because she's just so spirited. And when I read it, I remember feeling this like deep sense of like, ooh, this is like a kindred spirit. And that coinage, by the way, is Anne's coinage. Like it is in the book where she meets a friend and she says, oh my god, this is like a kindred spirit. I'm not quoting it, but it's not verbatim, but she left this like weird mark in my head, this character, and it's been stuck ever since. And I've reread this book several times. I don't reread books generally, but like with Anne you have to, because like it's such a lovely story. And now that I'm talking about it, I feel like another reread is necessary, because why not? And yeah, if you haven't read this yet, please do read it. I love this book. So my next favorite is this one, which is These Precious Days by Anne Patchett. I have talked about this so much. It went on my favorites of last year. Anyway, the point is that I've talked about it so much that I feel like I shouldn't talk about it that much anymore. But this is Anne Patchett's non-fiction. It isn't her fiction, and it is way better than her fiction, although I really like her fiction too. This is a recent favorite. I love it. I'm gonna reread it again and again and again, and it really helps that it is short essay pieces and it's about her life. They're little slice of life stories of things that happened to her. Though she's not writing it particularly as a biography, they're just essays of different incidents that have taken place in her life that are amusing or interesting or emphatic or whatever. The writing style is gorgeous. It's like you're sitting with Anne and having a coffee and she's telling you the story and you're just like mesmerized. It's so good, and I think it's gonna remain on my all-time favorites for a very long time. So my next favorite is here. I don't have the physical copy of this book, but I'm gonna just stick it on here so you can see. It is called The Secret Lives of Church Ladies. I adore this book. I think like 8 or 9 short stories in the whole book, and they all are fantastic. Every single one of them. So good. I actually listened to it as an audiobook, so if you want to, that's an option too, because the narrator did an amazing job. This book is, well, because it's a short story book, it's not really about anything, but it does have the theme of women who go to church. It does have the black woman theme, women from different ages, and small slice of life stories of all of these women. And a lot of it has to do with identity, who they are versus, you know, their religion or their beliefs. I'm making it sound a lot more boring than it actually is. It's freaking cool. I love this book so much. Again, this is one of those books that I reread. And I think maybe a mark of my favorite books are the ones that I reread. I don't know, but like this one was fantastic. Next book that I have for you is this one. This is also one that I listened to as an audiobook. I haven't read the actual physical book. This is a recent favorite, I will admit. And I'm sure there are other books out there that I have hearted and favorited a lot more. But when I thought about like 5 books, one of the things that I told myself is that because the list is impossible to come up with, I just said, what are the 5 books that you love that come to mind immediately? And I picked those. And this one made it, and so I guess recency bias or not, it's definitely one of my all-time favorites. This is called The Murmur of Bees, and I have again talked about it to death. I think this was my second favorite book of last year, so again, check out that video where I talk about it if you want to know about it a little bit more. But in short, this is a lovely magical realism book. This little boy is found surrounded by bees and he's adopted. This is in the middle of a lot of unrest in South America, particularly in Mexico. And this boy is adopted and he's taken in and he's raised, and he cannot speak, he's mute. Or he chooses not to speak, we don't know, it's magic realism, and there's like this mysterious air around it. But he is raised by this large household. There's this old grandma. It's full of these characters who are just so beautifully well-rounded, and there's an innocence surrounding this book that I feel like a lot of the more contemporary stories don't have. Now, what is the story about? Like I said, it was this little boy who is adopted by this household where there is also another boy who is born 7 years or 8 years later, and the younger boy actually tells the story of this older boy, where he talks about the effect and the impact that this older boy, who is mute and who has all this mysticism around him, had on his life. It is like a saga of a family who goes through an entire lifetime of different things, and this boy sits at the center of that story. It is a slow book, I will give you that, but I feel like if you stick with it, it's super rewarding, just because it takes you back to a time where that kind of innocence is no longer, you know, it takes me back to, I mean, my childhood wasn't similar, not at all, but it takes me back to that like feeling that, you know, I don't know, that nostalgia for a time where everything was easier, simpler, not easier, but basically simpler and like not complicated. And I don't know, I keep saying I don't know because I just don't have the words for this book. It's so good. Go read it, please. Okay, so the next question on this tag is 4 auto by authors. So first, I have an author who is actually an illustrator, but I have bought all of her books, including this one, where she's only illustrated. She's not written. Her other books have writing as well, and she has something that she wants to say. But this one, I think, is only illustrated, if I'm not wrong. I haven't yet gotten to this. It's my newest one of hers. This is Myra Kalman. That's the author. This one's actually written by Gertrude Stein, but she has illustrated it. It's the autobiography of Alice B. Tolkien. I am dying to read it because look at these illustrations. This is actually like a full-fledged book, okay, but it has a bunch of her illustrations. I bought it, if I'm being very, very honest, for the illustrations and not so much for the book itself. But I did read what the book was about and it sounded excellent. This is actually about Alice and Gertrude, who used to live together in Paris, I want to say. Let me just read this little thing that they've written here. It says, Alice met Gertrude. Gertrude met Alice. Gertrude with her big body, big presence. Alice, a little bird with a mustache. And that was that. A coup de foudre, as we say. Gertrude wrote this book of their lives through Alice's eyes, and here it is, happily with paintings to illustrate. That is basically Myra Kalman's like little excerpt that she's written down. But I am so excited to read this book, and I will buy anything at any point of time that Myra Kalman has published. In fact, I would love to own one of her paintings one day. One day, let's see. Another author that I will always buy from is Chimamanda Adichie. If you have been, by some chance, been following me from the very beginning of this channel, with all its breaks and stops and pauses, when I first started this channel, this was at the very top of my top 10, of my very first top 10 of the year list. And Chimamanda was still a favorite at that point. She is still a favorite. She will always be a favorite. And anytime that she starts writing a book and puts it in the store, I will buy it because she is so cool. I just love her work. So yeah, definitely another author for me. I have pretty much all her books, I think, that are published and are available. Next author that I will always buy is Madeline Miller. This is The Song of Achilles. I read this a few years ago and I fell in love with it. I also read her other book, Circe. I think I have like a small novella that I haven't finished of hers, but I do have it and I will read it. And I just feel like the way this woman retells like mythologies is insane. She has this ability to use her words and like transport you into that mythology and make it so current and wonderfully relatable, I think, but also equally mysterious. And she handles it with still all that bigness of mythology and the epicness of the epic. Wow, my words are wording. Anyway, author by author. If you haven't read this author, I would definitely say please go pick her up because so good. Another author that is forever and has forever been on my list of auto-buy is Marian Keyes. This is one of her books that I really love. Up there on one of those shelves, I have several Marian Keyes. I have read, I think, pretty much all of her books. She isn't a serious author, but she deals in serious topics. I don't know how she does that. It's just miraculous. But my favorite of hers is Rachel's Holiday, and then the second part of Rachel's Holiday was even better. I mean, how could you release another book many years after the first book and still have it be not just great, but even kind of better than the first book, which everybody loved anyway to begin with? Only Marian Keyes. So if you like lighter hearted books but with a serious message that goes bam in your face, this is the author for you. Marian Keyes, I love you. Let that be said in public. Okay, so the next one is 3 favorite genres. This one's a tough one because it keeps changing, and ideally it will keep changing with life too, because it means that I'm pretty much the same person my whole life if I read just one type of genre. From the time that I've started seriously reading as an adult, I feel like, you know, I have read all kinds of genres, and my preferences of genres also change very, very largely depending on the mood I'm in the moment. But at the moment, I would say if I had to pick 3, I would pick sci-fi. I'm very, very enchanted by sci-fi right now, particularly authors like Octavia Butler. Next genre would be cozy. I'm in that space in life where like a lot of things are happening, a lot of changes, a lot of stuff. And so often I'm in the mood for cozier books that aren't full of action, that aren't full of like plot, action. And so I'm kind of in that cozy sort of space at the moment. And the third genre I think would just be contemporary fiction. Anything that's written in today's times by, you know, contemporary authors, newer books with stories that are unique. It sounds really meh because what is contemporary? But then I also feel like I really like adult contemporary books because I'm able to relate. I get to know somebody else's world differently, particularly if they're from a different background, from a different country, from a different set of circumstances, etc. So I feel like, yeah, contemporary, cozy, and sci-fi. I know that short stories isn't a genre per se, but short stories and essays have been a really big deal for me in the last, I want to say, a year. So I don't know if that counts. I don't feel that it does, which is why I'm just making it a special mention. Okay, so the next question is 2 places I love to read. I am a lie down and read person. I will very rarely sit down and read. I just need to be super cozy when I'm reading whatever genre it is that I'm reading. Under a blanket is the most preferable, so my bed is my favorite place to read. And my couch is also like my best, like my favorite thing to do in the world is to wake up early on a Sunday morning. And if I've woken up, when I say early I mean like whatever, 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever. I normally wake up early on other days, so I auto wake up early on like Sundays as well. But when I have this lazy morning, I like to get out of the blanket in my bed, get on the blanket in my couch, which is right next to me here, and then open a book and read. And then, you know what would be perfect is if I could just doze, like read for like an hour and then just fall into this beautiful book sleep. What a wonderful phrase, book sleep. Yeah, that's my favorite form of reading, or the place of reading. So the very last question that we have today is one book that I promised to read soon. So I actually earlier this year made a vlog on the book goals that I have for this year, and this question I feel like is related to that because this is one of the things that I promised to do at the beginning of the year, which is to read more from my shelves and like stop buying stuff in the mood or in the zone and reading them. It's not like I have stopped that. I'm still like buying books and reading them on my Kindle, but I'm also trying to read more from my shelves. And I've actually put some sort of organization situation in place where I've given myself a bunch of like choices. I will let you watch that video. It's linked below, or it'll come up here somewhere. You can watch it. It's about the goals that I have for this year. So in keeping with that, the book that I do want to read, that I promised to read, the one book that I promised to read soon is this one. This is 1984. I actually even started making a vlog about this, like the how the book goals situation is going. So you'll see that up soon. But that is a book that I do want to read soon. It's a beautiful graphic novel. It is by George Orwell, as most of you may know, and it is a classic. And I want to get to it because it was gifted to me by my sister, and honestly it is very, very beautiful. I have actually started it and I promised to finish it. So yeah, That was the book tag, folks. I'm very happy to have done a book tag because it has been far too long. Okay, so that's it for today. I am tagging my friends Shruti and Smriti, who also have channels of their own. They read a lot and they have fantastic content on their channels. I'm putting it down in the information bar below. Is that what it's called? You know what I'm saying. It's down below. Please look up their channels, and if you like this video, you know what to do. Please subscribe, like the video, share it with others, comment, do all of this stuff that the hungry algo monster demands to help me out. Thanks so much. Bye. See you soon.